Welcome to the Boys to Nerds impromptu conversation, fireside chats. Kevin Lewis here, taking a tone from FDR, who was president 3 times, I believe.
Yep.
Anyway, we're here with Gerald, my usual person who I like to talk to about things, and we had to find him. He ran away after the season finale, so we've been on the lookout for him. But we finally found Brian. Say hi, guys.
What's going on?
Hey.
So, interesting topic. As you know, I like to think of hypothetical scenarios, and I think we're all film buffs.
Mm-hmm.
How many films would you say you've seen?
More than 7.
I can't even tell
Is it an equal and or... Not an equal. What's it called? Even or odd? Are those appropriate terms for numbers?
No.
Like a number. Like, what's 17? What does that classify as? Odd, right?
Sure.
But anyway, we've seen movies. We've all seen the Godfather trilogy directed by...
Francis Ford Coppola.
All 3 of them?
Yes.
Was his daughter in the 3rd one?
She was.
Was she bad?
Yes.
So
She was actually in the first one too. She played a baby.
She did.
I didn't know that.
In the coronation
I'm assuming the same character, just very small, or
No, it's
she
a
actually
different
played
character.
a man.
she played her brother. Oh, she is. All right. Well, we've all seen The Godfather. We like to just kind of discuss about classic movies. So, Gerald, how many times do you think you've seen the original Godfather? Godfather Part 1, I guess. For
All the way through, I'd say I've seen it about 5 or 6 times.
it's a lot of times.
But I've seen it in bits and pieces too. I watch when it's on TV.
At least 100. Brian, how about you? I mean, it doesn't have to be just one film.
Yeah, I would
but-
say I've seen Godfather Part 1 probably around the same, and I've seen Godfather Part 2 more. I've probably seen Godfather Part 2 more closer to 10 times.
The reason why I ask is because we see transitions in Godfather. We obviously start off with Vito Corleone. Towards the end of his tenure, we don't really know that at the beginning, but towards the end, and then his role is taken over by Sonny after the attack, after he gets shot 5 times in the face.
5 times. Hit him with 5 shots, and he's still alive.
Yeah, buying some good quality food. I like that he supports local produce. That's one thing I will say about them. So we have Sonny, we'll throw him in there. Michael eventually takes over. We have young Bob De Niro in Part 2, and then the only other one that was really Godfather eventually is Andy Garcia's character in the 3rd one. So let's open up a can of worms. Who's the best Godfather and why? I think it's really between 2 to 3 people. We didn't want to exclude anybody, but Gerald, let's hear your arguments. Who is the best Godfather actor and character, if that makes sense?
Okay. Actor and character, Marlon Brando.
Why?
Corleone.
That was effortless. You didn't even put any thought into it.
I don't know. I disagree with that. I think he was the character itself. He's a smart character. He's a guy who thinks about things. He doesn't act on emotion, unlike his sons. And he is a guy who puts a lot of planning into what he does. He really built that empire. He passed that on to Michael, so Michael really got everything from him. Same with Sonny and Tom. And acting wise, Marlon Brando's one of my favorite actors of all time.
Brando's, I will admit with you, but if we're talking about the character of Vito Corleone, I disagree a little bit, because in 2 we see the flashbacks.
Yeah.
He still is planning things out. I 100% agree with you. He's not just pure rage like Sonny. I agree with that. But I do think he is kind of reacting to emotions a little bit. I mean, he seeks revenge, for something that happened 20 years ago. So it obviously affected him to the point where 30 years later, he would go back and kill that guy. Even though he's pretty much dead already.
Yeah. That's all part of him, though. Yeah, I would say that my favorite Godfather, at least the representation, is De Niro's in Part 2, just because I love everything that Marlon Brando did. You can't really say that he's not the best. Obviously, he won an Oscar for his role, but what De Niro did is he kind of played out the entire growth and the backstory of Vito Corleone or Vito Andolini at the time. You see him struggling with his family and his wife, and to provide for them as he gets fired from being, a grocer, and he's kind and he's nice and people like him, but he's obviously just having a hard time. And then you see that moment when he decides to stand up for himself and to provide for his family by deciding to kill Finucci, and that at that dinner scene with Tessio and Clemenza. And I just think that whole arc and everything that De Niro does, he doesn't try to do an impression of Brando, which I like. He does his own interpretation of what Vito would be as a younger man.
Yeah. And he's really good at hiding guns. Just want to put that out there.
He is very successsul at hiding.
He knows how to help
He's full
people
of
out when
guns.
they just throw a bag of guns in his bathroom when he's taking a. Actually, I don't think he was taking a number 2, for lack of a better word. Well, since everyone's asking me, what my favorite Godfather is, I'm easily gonna go with Michael. I'm easily gonna go with Michael, and I'm not just doing it so we have one of every choice. I mean, Brian and I talked about this weeks ago, and we were just curious. Hey, who's your favorite Godfather? And my favorite's Michael, and because I don't necessarily consider the Godfather storyline about Vito. Like I said, it's at the end of his tenure.
Yeah, it's definitely Michael's arc. The trilogy is about Michael.
Exactly, and I just like Michael coming in being like, I'm not like them. You remember that one scene? He's like, that's my family, Kay. I'm not like them.
Yeah.
And how you can't really escape the fate where this is what he's been around. This is all he knows. This is what he's learning. He has his dad there to help guide him. And he does become a conniving sociopath. Just the whole scene with Fredo. He forgave him. He's like,
very ruthless.
I know, and it's just he can't let it go. Like, he's been slighted. I'm sorry, it's just how things have to be.
That's why I disagree. I think Michael is far worse than Vito. Is that Michael takes care of the business first, and Vito took care of his family first. So Vito would never put himself in a situation where he would have to kill a member of his family unless it was like of dire consequence. Where Fredo, yes, did he put Michael in danger, but he apologized, Michael forgave him, and that's his brother. Like, it is a link to his father, and really the last link, because Sonny's dead. I mean, he's got he's got Connie, but she's kind of being terrible that entire movie, and I don't think Vito would ever do that, put himself in that situation.
Keep yourself in mind, Michael didn't have Vito around for that long. I mean, he probably had taken over the reins for
30 years. I mean, he didn't have him around
as his father. That's what I mean,
yeah.
as his father. But when Michael was finally in those shoes, he didn't have his dad around for too long. So I'm sure Marlon Brando's character rubbed off on him and how to handle certain situations. But I feel like Michael, you got to remember, he was a soldier. You know what I mean? And he's not necessarily a good family man. And that's a great dynamic, because if you're just having him be exactly like Vito, it's the same character.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so good, because he's like the middle ground between Sonny's hot-headedness to the point where it got him freaking killed to the point where Vito was calm, cool, collected. He's like, let's put this trouble aside. We're all friends here. And Michael's like, I'm going to kill each and every one of you.
Right, and I think that's definitely something Vito would have done, especially with the whole 5 families thing, but Michael does have that killer instinct that maybe Vito didn't have, because obviously Vito let his enemies kind of just live. Like, they didn't have a war for a long time, as they said, and he kind of let them just be for a while and just kind of had a peace. And I think that's just, again, where Michael struggles. Like, yes, Michael killed all of his enemies, but it brought so much heat upon him that he basically asked for someone in his own family to betray him.
But I feel like Vito was like that after a while. I disagree, because he was more calculated, but he did kill his enemies. And if we're going to Godfather Part 3, we see an older Michael, and he is kind of like, what is that going to do when his hothead nephew is, you know what I mean? So we do kind of see him age, mature, and he's becoming more and more like the Vito character was. So, I mean, it's hard to say that De Niro / that whole character wasn't that way, because we only saw a sneak peek for that whole revenge plotline and a little his rise, but we didn't really see anything in between to where he was, you know what I mean, until the first movie.
Yeah, I mean, he was, going off of some of the stuff they don't really show in the books, but, he does have pretty ruthless things that he does too. Luca Prazzi is his main enforcer that he unleashes upon all of his enemies.
What does he say? Your signature, your brains are going to be on this paper?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
He sends Luca Brasi there, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's a criminal. They're all criminals.
Right.
Oh, they're all bad people at the end of the day.
Which murder is best?
Yes. All right. So this leads to an open conversation. Godfather 3, a lot of people didn't like it. I don't feel like it's universally hated. I know it's not loved like the other 2 are, but now that we've progressed, how long has it been? 25 years since the third one?
At least.
Would you want to see a 4th one? And if they did do a 4th one, what would they need to do to make it successful, to where it draws people's interest? I mean, Star Wars has that drawing factor because it's Star Wars. Even though people didn't like the sequel or the prequels, they put the Star Wars name on Episode 7. Everyone was freaking out about it. Does Godfather have that kind of appeal and drawing factor?
I think so. I think, well, maybe not as much as Star Wars. There's
Sure.
few things that have that much.
It's interesting though, because I consider Godfather Part 1 and 2 far superior movies than any other Star Wars movie other than Empire.
The quality of movie, but in terms of pop culture reference, Star Wars, I think has a far greater reach.
Sorry, Gerald, you were in the middle of talking.
I think if it's done right, then they could definitely draw in an audience. But it's something that would take a lot of work and a lot of thought to do it absolutely right. Especially following up on two of the best movies of all time.
Not three, though. Not three of the best movies.
I like Three is a good movie.
fine.
It's just not a good Godfather movie.
Exactly.
And that's what we want to avoid with the new one. So if we're going to do a new one, which, by the way, nobody said they're doing a new one. We just thought it would be interesting because it's 2016 now.
Yeah, I mean, we are in that kind of field of like reboots and starting things up again in sequels. So I definitely think that it could be a possibility. I don't think that they're going to do it. But if they were to do a 4, what I would definitely want is I wouldn't want Coppola to direct it, just because he really hasn't done much.
How old is he these days? Like 94?
Yeah, he's like 70 something. Who I would want to direct it is Scorsese. I think if Coppola was executive producing, Scorsese directing, and like
be a lot more violent.
Yeah, no, seriously though, I think that's kind of the Godfather we need is, a talented director at the helm who knows how to handle that subject matter. And I would like to see it be about the Corleones. I know it's kind of like the Star Wars, it can't always be about the Skywalker thing, but I think the Corleone family is the bloodline that runs through these stories, and I would love to see them how they deal with have it set in modern times and how the family has either survived or not survived, or maybe how it comes back into fruition.
Yeah, because I mean the mafia, or what are they called in Italian, Cosa Nostra?
La Cosa Nostra.
I'm just saying, like in these days, it's not going to be anything like it's going to be in the 20s, 30s, 40s, where they're having shootouts on the streets and things like that.
I think that would make it interesting though, because the movies have always kind of gone off of what the mafia was actually like.
Yeah.
So seeing as it is now completely, they're almost powerless now. They're just like thugs.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see, like the Corleone family, what they would be like now in modern times.
I disagree. I don't think it necessarily needs to be about the Corleone family. I get what you're saying, though. They've been the constant throughout the series. I mean, they could tie it in, and people would probably hate it, though. I agree, though. People would probably be like, who is this guy? Like, people are hesitant for new characters.
If you're going to put a number 4 on something, I don't think you can just throw automatically new characters. It has to be a relation to the Corleone in some hefty manner.
What if it's a complete reboot? Because you say they're not going to do it, but with Ghostbusters, with Jurassic World, which was technically a sequel.
I mean, Ghostbusters and Jurassic
limits.
Park are one thing, but no one will ever remake The Godfather. I mean, I say that, but again, I put The Godfather next to like Vertigo and Jaws as some of the greatest movies ever made. Citizen Kane. I don't think anybody will ever try to reboot them from scratch.
I mean, Jaws is fine. It's okay. I disagree because Hollywood is desperate for ideas and money.
Yeah, they are, but that is one. That is
and desperate people do desperate things.
But I mean, I think there could be a 4th. I think we're far enough away from the Sopranos ending to that we haven't really had a mob. Scorsese hasn't done a mob movie in a while.
Well, The Departed was Irish Mafia.
Right, The Departed was Irish Mafia. We had Black Mass as well, which followed basically the same story, just a different take.
I haven't seen that one, but I'm
so
sure
I think I think the gangster movie could make a comeback, and I think Godfather Part 4 would be an interesting way to do it, especially if you got the right director.
Well, Godfather itself, I believe, was the rejuvenation of gangster movies for its time.
Yeah, it was popular in the 20s and 30s with,
and then
maybe that's 40s and 50s. I don't know what I'm talking about.
But I'm just saying, it definitely could come back. I mean, it all depends on the casting, the direction of it.
Sure.
I mean, we don't want a complete. Even if they don't call it a reboot, I don't want them to take different characters, different scenarios, and pretty much come up with the same arc.
I don't want Andy Garcia in it, is basically what I'm saying.
I would like Andy Garcia.
Really?
I agree.
I think they should wrap up his story, maybe like kill him in the beginning or something.
That would be good. I would like to see, if he died in the beginning and then maybe it was about his son or Vito or Michael's grandson.
I want to see him be frozen to death, tossed in the ocean, thawed out, and then eaten by a whale.
That's quite specific.
But this is what I want.
I feel like Michael's grandson would probably be around the right age, maybe late 30s. So maybe that could be his uncle dying. I don't know if Garcia would technically be his uncle, but something like that. have some relation to it, even if it was Michael's granddaughter or something like that.
Yeah. The only problem I see with that is the mafia is very exclusive. I know it's changed now, so you could make that exception. But back in the day, you could only be
Sicilian.
100% Sicilian to
That's the whole storyline.
That's right. K obviously was not 100%.
That's the whole storyline from Goodfellas, where they were gonna make him a made man.
Yeah.
And the other two couldn't be made. Couldn't be made.
Yeah,
Is that how you say that?
They didn't have pure blood.
Oh, that movie's so good. Anyway, Godfather, I want to see it. I want to see car scenes. I want to see like the Fast and the Furious meets Transformers meets Scarface.
Oh, man, that sounds like an instant classic.
I'm just saying right now. You know,
and then you want to see 7 of them in a row.
No.
One year after another.
With The Rock and 4 of them.
And Vin Diesel.
Yeah, The Rock.
Just flexing
Vin
his
Diesel.
muscle. Vin Diesel looks like a wuss right now in comparison to The Rock. Vin Diesel used to be like truly ripped.
Vin Diesel ever look good compared to The Rock?
Yes. The Rock has
That's
gone up
crazy.
by like 50 pounds of muscle in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Easily.
Pretty ridiculous.
If you go to like 2003 Rock and like 1999 Vin Diesel, maybe not exactly the same, but like muscle mass wise.
Next week on Boys and Nerds, your favorite Rock decade.
What other actors would you like to see in Godfather?
Trying to think of like
DiCaprio.
DiCaprio, yeah.
I think he's
my
the
top
easy choice for sure.
DiCaprio, really?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he could play.
I
think he could play the lead. He's that old. He plays that very well.
I like Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not going to sit here and say anything bad about Leonardo DiCaprio, but I don't love Leonardo DiCaprio. I do feel a lot of his performances are highly overrated. He doesn't have a lot of depth to the point where he can't. I've said this 1,000 times. He can't change his voice like a. Who's that one actor in like There Will Be Blood? That's
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis. He's known for like creating dialects and different voices, and that's why he has like a freaking boatload of Oscars. And Leonardo DiCaprio just sounds the same. He looks the same. He always looks like a boy in every movie. I just saw The Revenant. What's he now? Like 45 years old. And I realized he had like a beard and everything, but he wasn't like a convincing like a Tom Hardy.
But obviously I don't have to sit here and defend DiCaprio because he can
he's
obviously
great.
bring it.
Yes.
Anyone else? I mean, I'd say like maybe Adrian Brody. It kind of looks like a young Pacino, young Pacino. He might be good. He hasn't really done anything in a while, so maybe that's not.
I don't know why. I don't know if he'd be a good fit, but an actor that I feel like is truly underutilized is like an Eric Bana. Everything he's in, I enjoy, or like a.
His American is rough though because he's Australian.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, so his American is a little.
Well, a lot of people are high on Oscar Isaac. He's a London.
Oscar,
I don't know where he's from.
Oscar Isaac is Guatemalan.
Yeah, whatever, same place.
Well, he's Guatemalan by descent. I think he was born here, but yeah, he would be a good choice, I think, as well.
I know these are like more white actors, but like maybe like Chris Pine. I feel like other than Star Trek, he's always underutilized.
Chris Pine is. Maybe. Yeah, it might be going too much.
We need some more Italian actors.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other option
talking.
is you go right and you open it up and get a bunch of Italian actors that can speak English.
Do you know any like young Italian actors though? That's the thing.
Steve is putting in Cillian Murphy. That is a great choice. He is insane in Peaky Blinders.
He is.
I like the guy who played Luciano in Boardwalk Empire. If you guys have ever seen that, he's a really good actor. I can't think of his name though.
Steve Buscemi.
No, that's Nucky.
But I don't know. Just thinking of good top actors that could potentially.
I think The Godfather's always been more of an ensemble piece. Like,
Yeah.
you can get a lot of great actors. You can even do basically all the ones we said and just get an interesting, dynamic. So maybe Leo.
Tom Hagen was an Italian.
Yeah.
Tom Hagen was part Sicilian, wasn't he?
Was he? Well, I just knew.
No, he was full
German
Irish.
Irish.
I knew he was adopted. That's what I was
Yes,
saying.
he was born into the family, but he was never done.
But
That was a wasted storyline. Can we just talk about how wasted it is that Robert Duvall
Duvall
wasn't in the third one, and they just
killed him.
He's dead.
It's like money.
His father was the best boy I ever met. He's dead now, but he's the best.
Yeah, and you're going into the seminary.
Yeah.
So what a waste.
All right, Godfather 4, realistically, in the next 10 years, do you honestly think there's a chance?
I'm gonna write it. Yeah.
Yeah?
Gerald, it's going to be a Boys and Nerds joint.
Yeah. I will not have any role in this since I don't know anything about the Mafia other than the fact that they apparently like to sleep with the fishes. Or they don't.
They don't.
Oops.
It's not a great thing.
All right. Well, this has been Boys and Nerds, a conversation. Any last minute thoughts about Godfather? Do you want to just take a minute and tear apart Sonny? We haven't really talked
Sonny's
about
great.
it.
I love Sonny.
Yeah, Sonny's one of my favorite characters.
No, he's a good character, but
Hey, he died defending his sister. That's okay by me.
He defied defending domestic violence with violence.
He was progressive.
Yes. So he was a man before his time.
I love that moment though when he's beating up Carlo and he's just whiffing completely, and the camera doesn't even try to hide that he's not hitting him at all.
I like that because I can't remember if the fight scene causes the fire hydrant to go off with the water.
I think it was already. There's no way.
I thought he bashed his head to the point where, and these kids' day were just made. Who cares?
Yes.
Who cares if the water's a little red? All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel, the Facebook. We'll be back with what season are we doing next? Season 27?
That's right.
Season 2 in the next few months, month or two. We'll give it some time. Until then, send us questions. If you want to be on the show, email us. Do we have an email? Not yet. No, voicenerds@gmail.com. So email us. We'll be back soon. As I say in Italian,
Nope.
help me out here.
Ciao.
Ciao. Arrivederci.
Dominic DeCoco.
Dominic. I don't speak any Italian.